Big Bear Lake. Now, listen, this is not some corporate-owned operation. It's family-owned and operated by some real nice people. Unique? Oh, you bet. Golden Bear Cottages features 28 one-of-a-kind cabins on a 5-acre historic site. Great for families, couples, and groups. And cabins are available with 1 to 7 bedrooms. Golden Bear Cottages is just a stone's throw from Big Bear Lake and super close to 3 great ski areas. Now, I could go on all day about Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear, but to see everything, just go to goldenbear.net. Again, goldenbear.net. Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear. Clean, comfortable, and affordable. Check them out. goldenbear.net.
We found the problem with your car.
And
Turns out the carburetor differential modulator is out.
what?
And while we were digging around in there, this thing fell off.
Stop. There's no automotive repair nightmares at Diego Martinez's 5-Star Automotive in San Bernardino. 5-Star Automotive, where you'll get a great experience and home of the $15.99 oil change. That's right, just $15.99. They specialize in transmissions, brake repair, AC, and many other repairs, all with a lifetime warranty on parts and labor. Diego knows when your auto needs 5-star attention, it's never convenient. He offers a 12-month interest-free auto repair loan on major auto repairs with no money down. He'll even throw in free towing and a 10% discount for his neighbors in the 909 who work for the city and county of San Bernardino. Call 909-387-0770. That's 387-0770. Your neighbors at 909 West 2nd Street in San Bernardino.
Are you looking for the right place to purchase your landscaping items? Well, come see us at Hydroscape. Hydroscape offers a large selection of irrigation products including Irritrol and Toro, such as their efficient precision nozzles. For 40 years, Hydroscape has been family-owned and operated, serving Southern California. With 17 locations, our knowledgeable and experienced staff is equipped to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydroscape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydroscape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog, or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
Hi, I'm John Elway. Did you know that John Elway's Crown Toyota is the largest volume Toyota dealer in the Inland Empire? Here to give you the details is the General Sales Manager, Kara Brindley.
Well, John Elway's Crown Toyota, we listen to you. And ever since we've changed to our new process, we post our one price, which is our best price, up front on every single vehicle. Now, customers are telling me they look forward to buying their next car from us.
So come visit John Elway's Crown Toyota today in the Giant Ontario Auto Center where the 10 and 15 meet.
One price, simple, no games.
Slam the door on FeePay. Forget everything you know about selling online because I'm here to tell you about a new and revolutionary way to buy and sell on the internet. BuySellMakeOffer.com is here to shake up the web. Tired of paying those outrageous fees? You'll never pay a fee with BuySellMakeOffer.com. For a monthly membership package starting at only $7.95, you can list and sell up to 50 items. That would cost you nearly $100 with the other guys. Go right now to BuySellMakeOffer.com and sign up today.
Were you involved in an auto accident? Do you know where to go for repairs? Are you tired of getting ripped off by high prices and inferior work? Then visit us at Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, located in Riverside at 6411 Industrial Avenue, Suite A. We have an award-winning team of specialists with more than 40 years of auto body work experience. We were also voted #1 in the Inland Empire by MyFox LA. We work with all major insurance companies and use state-of-the-art equipment to get your car back on the road. We work on all makes and models of cars, including RVs. Our auto paint specialist will make sure the job is done right. At Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, your satisfaction isn't just a goal, it's what drives us. We focus on your needs. Call us for a free estimate at 951-637-1365. That's 951-637-1365. Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint.
Are you tired? Are you tired of being tired? Do you hate your job? Do you feel like you're on a hamster wheel and want to jump off into balanced living? Then tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. It's a show about hope and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So there's no CNN, constantly negative news, no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk. Instead, you will hear callers ask Dr. Marissa, also known as the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, for advice about love, hate, money, jobs, sex, and what to do next. So join me every Thursday at 7 for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA AM 1050 NBC News Radio. This is Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah, signing off until then. Peace in and peace out.
For the record, hell, we are the record. KCAA, the Inland Talk Express.
Hey! What the? Honey! The water just stopped in here.
They turned it off because you're wasting water.
What? What are you talking about?
You know.
Because you know it's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought. Yeah, it's pretty clear, we're really short on blue. It's time to save it, like we're supposed to do. Some say it's doom, gloom, and all our grass must go. But together we can make it and enjoy our golden state. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought.
Good evening, Southern Californians, from the mountains to the desert, the oceans, all across America with the detour in Dallas and back to beautiful downtown San Bernardino with Mike and Rob on the Water Show and WATERZONE, and we hope everybody's having a good day today. And I have to introduce Mike. Mike, are you there?
I am, Rob.
Okay, because since we're a few 1,000 miles away, I'll have to say the wonderful co-host, the smart, spirited, and serious yet sensible soul of a man that provides sparkling and straightforward solutions about sprinkler systems, Mr. Mike Barron.
Oh, my gosh. I thought, you just outdo yourself every week, Rob. And I don't even pay you to do that. I mean, that's great.
We got to talk about that.
Hey, by the way, what are you doing out there in Dallas?
I'm meeting with Wyland, the renowned marine artist, and we had a joint venture relationship where we being Toro and Toyota and Wyland, had this event from the National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation, and the city of Dallas actually won the contest last year in their category, their size category, and Toro and Wyland and Toyota had donated a irrigation system that's really a living educational garden for a elementary school out here in Dallas. So tomorrow is the ribbon cutting ceremony with the mayor and a bunch of city officials, and we're here to celebrate that.
Excellent. So they'll actually use this, I guess there'll be a vegetable garden as part of this? Is that, or is
they're going to put that in because they're putting that, but right now it's all low volume use water. They have the new smart controllers by Toro, the Evolution, and a bunch of drip equipment, and they're going to rock and roll and save lots of water while they're doing it.
Great. Well, speaking of drip, last night I was doing a drip workshop for master gardeners out of Colton, California. I think, in fact, some of them remembers you, Rob. And they said, we visited Toro a few years ago, so we were doing that drip because
that seems a bad memory.
Well, no, it was a good memory. They said, we have some new members and we'd like to come visit again, so we may arrange that in the near future. But basically, they are very anxious and did learn hands-on about drip products because they want to be very efficient with the watering of their drought-tolerant plants. So they had some succulents and some other plants, and we learned about using quarter-inch and half-inch drip line products to irrigate vegetable gardens as well as flower planters. So as they say, I think it's hip to drip. So looks like you're in the middle of it.
Let's trademark that.
All right.
So you know any news for the week?
Well, I think I do. But wait, I hear a sound.
Signal. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, direct from the studio, news and policies of the week. There's an historic low. The snowpack level in Sierra Nevada may be at its lowest point in 500 years. And that's according to the Journal of Nature Climate Change. And it demonstrates just how severe our water shortage is. And what was funny is one of the paleoclimatologists at the University of Arizona made a comment that she said they were expecting that 2015 would be more extreme, but not like this.
Wow. So it even was drier than what the scientists expected.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they did a poll as well saying that California say the drought has not substantially affected their day-to-day lives, all these people here in all the cities, even as they're conserving a considerable amount of water. So that's pretty good. But one sad point of it, there's an article that came out called "Lost Students." And children in the Central Valley are particularly hard hit by the state drought because many of their parents rely on the land for work. So they see their income dropping as the farms cut back, so they keep moving and moving and moving. That means some children are constantly on the move. Others lack access to showers and clean clothes. So it's pretty sad for the families who do the work on those farms.
Well, I know in the Central Valley, that's where many rural residents who rely on well water for their day-to-day water use just have no more water because that water table has dropped. The farmers, although they have fallowed thousands and thousands of acres, I've heard an estimate of maybe up to 5% of the land that normally is used to grow crops has been fallowed just because there isn't enough water. But in these communities, the people that live there, as you've mentioned, are definitely affected. So while most of us in large metropolitan areas, thanks to the work of water agencies whose efforts really go unsung many times in many years, we can still turn on the tap, although much more judiciously, and have water. So that's good news. We're going to have guests from Eastern Municipal Water District this evening, as well as Western Municipal Water District.
East versus West.
Yes, and speaking of these battles, these great battles, there's actually another battle that's brewing of two titans. Can you guess what other battle is brewing out there in the South Pacific?
Oh, I heard this morning about a little storm coming.
Well, the battle is between the ridiculously resilient ridge of high-pressure air over the coast of California versus the historic Godzilla El Nino that's developing according to all of the evaluations by NOAA and other climatologists. So it's going to be the battle of the climate monsters to see who wins. So all of us out there, we need to continue to be very, very judicious with our use of water because until we actually get some rainfall, nothing is guaranteed. And by the way, speaking of rainfall, we were very, very fortunate. If you think about it, we normally get about a quarter inch of rain on average in September, and just this week we got over an inch here in Southern California. So all of us ought to have our sprinkler system off. Of course, if you have one of the Toro Smart controllers, it'll have it off for you, and it'll keep it off for 48 hours after the rain event because that's what the state mandate requires. And so we want to be in compliance with these requirements that are driven really by the severity of the drought. As you mentioned, the snowpack is the driest it's been in 500 years, if I remember what you said correctly.
Yeah.
So
it's going crazy. Well, anyway, just for our listening audience, we'll kick off the show. Mike and I had a chance to catch up with a gentleman named Paul Jones, who's the general manager for Eastern Municipal Water District, and I guess he's all queued up and ready to go. Since I'm 1,800 miles away from you, I can't tell.
Yes, it is. So we will roll it now.
I'd like to welcome Mr. Paul Jones, who's the general manager of Eastern Municipal Water District, to our show. Welcome, Paul. Good evening.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today.
Good. We appreciate you coming on the WaterZone. A couple questions for you. I'm glad you had the time to do this with us. Tell us a little about our listeners about Eastern Municipal Water District, who your customers, your territories, and so forth.
Sure. Eastern Municipal Water District is a water, wastewater, and recycled water provider utility. We cover about a 542 square mile area. It includes 7 cities and unincorporated county in central Riverside County. So we cover Moreno Valley, Paris, Menifee, Murrieta, Hemet, and San Jacinto. Also, we provide water to another agency down the city of Temecula. Also, the large unincorporated areas, Winchester and French Valley, are in the center of our service area. We have a fairly good-sized population we serve, 785,000 people. It's about, if you look at Riverside County's population, it's about 34% of the population of Riverside. From the county perspective, we're the largest water agency in the county. If you looked at us in the context of being a city, what size of a city would we be? We'd be about the 18th most populated city in the country, kind of about the size of Charlotte, North Carolina. So we have a fairly good size service area and a fairly broad geographic area as well.
Okay. Now, we know everybody's in a drought in California, and I read about that you have what you call a Stage 4B condition. Can you tell us what actions are being taken by Eastern Municipal regarding the current drought and a little about the Stage 4B, what that means?
Sure. We have a 5-stage water shortage contingency plan. So each stage of severity in the drought is additional actions that the district takes to try to curtail customer water use. We are one of the first water agencies in Riverside County to respond to the State Board's emergency actions. We triggered a subsequent stage, Stage 4, right after the State Board's action in May. And that triggered a number of actions, some of which are connected to our rate structure. And if I can explain that a little bit. We have what we call an allocation-based or budget-based rate structure, and that means for each customer, we create a budget based on their indoor and outdoor use, and then we tie that to our water shortage contingency plan. That rate structure has a 4-tiered pricing system. So if you are within your budget, you pay very low rates for your water, and if you exceed your budget, you pay progressively higher rates as a pricing disincentive for excess water use. So what we do in subsequent stages of the water shortage contingency plan is we look at reductions really starting in the outdoor use of water. So we budget, as I mentioned, for each customer an amount of water that they can use outdoor. What we're asking for, because of the severity of the drought, is for customers to reduce their outdoor consumption. And as a result, we just took an action that will go in effect this month, which will reduce that outdoor budget in our rates by about 30%. So those customers who are not reducing their outdoor irrigation, they will be subject to higher rates and charges. So that's how we tie our rate structure and provide incentives for customers to conserve under our water shortage contingency plan. We have also, when we go into these stages of our water shortage contingency plan, it also triggers a substantial amount of additional customer outreach and communications. We've actually, since the state declared the drought emergency, have sent out over 500,000 mailers to our customers, communicating at different levels the severity of the drought, what actions we're asking our customers to take. We have a very robust email communication program where we've sent out about 35,000 have 35,000 subscribers, and we send out updates and emails and how customers can not only conserve water, but what incentives they might take advantage of for conservation devices. And we also have held numerous community meetings. We have to date, since the state declared the drought emergency, had 63 community meetings. We've had about 5,300 people attending. Some of those community meetings are also broadcast on the local TV networks for the cities. And so they've been a very effective way to reach out to the customers. So we are not only looking at having our customers conserve water through incentives in our rate structure, but we're also trying to do a lot of education and outreach, and also indicating and providing to customers places where they can get incentives to put in conservation devices, everything from low-flow shower heads and sprinkler nozzles to low-flow toilets and other ways that the customers can save water.
You know, I found it's interesting when I put my consumer hat on versus when I put on my Toro irrigation manufacturer hat on. As the manufacturer, I 100% agree with the California Urban Water Conservation best practice of using conservation pricing, which your Eastern Municipal Water District's tiered system sounds like it's very much consistent with what's recommended to convey to end users, to the consumers of water, that that's a valuable resource, that is something that we need to use with discernment because there is not an unlimited supply during the fourth year of an unprecedented drought. And of course, as the waste of water increases, if we just don't pay attention to how we're using our water outdoors or maybe indoors by fixing leaky fixtures, all of a sudden I get a very clear message in my water bill that I'm probably doing something wrong with that higher price, especially since your budget is based upon the size of the landscape at the home and I assume also a certain number of people that live in the home. So from a Toro perspective, we like, and other competitors, Raybird and Hunter, our products become more cost effective when people see several $100 increase in their water bill. On the other hand, as a consumer, I kind of don't like that. So in the end, do you get much feedback from your customer base about the budget-based tiered rate system that Eastern has instituted over the past few years?
Sure. Again, I think with respect to those customers that go over budget, we do outreach and communication to those customers. So if we have a customer that's constantly over budget, we will contact the customer. We'll ask if we can give them assistance on their landscaping, for example, whether we can come out and do a water audit, whether we can come out and see if they have a leak. And so we offer that assistance for customers who are over budget. Many customers realize if they do have a leak, for example, and they get a high water bill, they fix that leak, we will give them a courtesy adjustment on that bill, such that they are not paying the higher rates for the bill if they've gone ahead and corrected that leak. So one of the things we try to do with the rate structure is administrate it as fairly as we possibly can and use it as a real two-way communication tool. Because if you think about it, when you have as many customers as we have 137,000 customers accounts, the best thing we can do with that rate structure is use it for two-way communication. So we know which customers are using more water than they normally would or should be. And so we can communicate and focus on those customers to bring them back within their water budget. And then at the same time, in doing so, offer them various incentives and rebates to be able to make improvements to their irrigation system or even their indoor water use.
Well, I know I pay a lot more attention to my sprinkler system as well as my fixtures inside the house because it's like the lights are, it's like, hey, that's money. When I hear that leak, letting water go down the drain, that's money going right out of my pocket. But, one thing that I found interesting was you mentioned that Eastern Municipal Water District not only supplies potable water, but processes wastewater and then delivers recycled water. Has that always been the case with Eastern Municipal? Has it always been that kind of integrated processing of water?
Yes. In fact, Eastern Municipal was one of the early adopters of recycled water in the state. Our recycled water program goes back to the late 60s where it was used for agricultural uses. Now we have a fully developed parallel plumbing system for recycled water. We have 4 water reclamation plants that treat wastewater to very high standards. That is distributed throughout our service area, and we have facilities that basically go throughout the entire eastern service area. And actually, we're at a state right now where we are recycling 100% of the water that comes into those water reclamation plants. So we are at zero discharge, 100% reuse, which is very unusual. It's a very high level. That accounts for about a third of our supply. And so if you think about all the demands that are in Eastern service area, a third of those demands, a little under a third, are met with recycled water. And we have a wide variety of customers, too. So if you go throughout particularly the newly developed areas in the service area, all the parkways, green belts, landscape area, parks, they are all irrigated with recycled water. We also have very large landscape customers for agriculture as well. So a large customer sector that we have is agriculture. They use about 2/3 of the recycled water we produce, and those crops include alfalfa to berries to Asian produce. So we have a wide variety of crops that are used, and we're really supporting a robust agricultural economy in our service area. We also have large industrial customers. A good example of that is the Inland Empire Energy Center that's down here in Paris. It's a large power-producing plant. They use recycled water for their cooling towers. And so what we look at is the recycled water is really a nice fit-for-use water supply. When you have non-potable demands, to be able to recycle and serve those with the recycled water system frees up the potable water supplies that we have for direct customer use. So it's a very good system, and we're really pleased. We think it's one of the nation's premier water recycling systems.
Do you think people are going to understand, or do you look at it this way, that over time the non-potable water is going to be just as valuable as the potable water?
Oh, I think clearly it's being viewed like that already. Throughout the nation, you are seeing more and more projects where they even further purify recycled water and use it to supplement, for example, groundwater sources. I think that is certainly the future. Water is water, and it's just water that is treated and effectively used for those end uses. And so I think we look at it certainly as a resource just like all of our water resources.
Now, I would wanted to ask you, you mentioned a third of your supplied water is the recycled water. The other 2/3, I would assume you get some water pressed through the Metropolitan Water District channel and then in groundwater. Could you maybe share where those other raw water sources are?
We have really invested heavily in a local water supply portfolio. We're in a very dry area, as you know. We don't have a lot of natural resources from a water supply standpoint. That's why we've really invested in the recycled water system. But we also have local groundwater. We pump groundwater from the Hemet-San Jacinto groundwater basin. Unlike a lot of groundwater basins around the state, that is what's called a managed and adjudicated basin. That means the cities and the groundwater producers that use water out of that basin have come together to develop management and sustainable management plans for that groundwater basin, and we certainly have one of those in place, so that makes up a portion of our supply. And then we also have invested in another source of groundwater, and that is brackish groundwater desalination. Under the western portion of our service area in the Menifee and Paris areas, we have very substantial groundwater reserves. But that groundwater is salty. It's brackish. It's a little bit saltier than normal water supplies. Not as salty as ocean water, mind you, but it is too salty to use as it's pumped out of the ground. So we have invested in brackish water desalination treatment plants. We have 2 treatment plants that pump groundwater from that basin. They use reverse osmosis technology to remove the salts from that water. And then we take the brine, which the salts that we take out of that water through the reverse osmosis process, and we export it out of the service area through a brine line that goes to the Pacific Ocean that was built in a consortium with 4 other agencies. In doing so, we create a new water supply, about 8 million gallons a day of fresh water that's very high quality that we use for our customers, so it's a new water supply. And we also export salts out of the groundwater basin. And we export about 25,000 salts a year through that regional brine line. So it provides kind of a sustainability plan for the groundwater basins by exporting the salts, and it's a new water supply for our customers. And as I mentioned, also, our other water supply is imported water through the Metropolitan Water District. We get water imported from Met that comes either from the State Water Project or the Colorado River Aqueduct. We have water that's from Met that's directly delivered, and we also take water from Met that is untreated, and we have 2 advanced treatment plants that purify that water for our customers' use. So we have a fairly robust portfolio of different water supplies, and that's really allowed us to be very resilient during these water shortage conditions.
How are those projects funded to continue? Because I know they're not inexpensive in itself.
Well, those projects are funded obviously through our ratepayers, and we fund both capital and operating expenses through our rates. But we've also been very successful in getting outside grant funding, both state and federal grants, for our water recycling system. And Metropolitan Water District has a partnership program known as the Local Resources Program. And it provides an incentive for projects that produce water at a unit cost that is substantially higher than Met's rate, and they provide a contribution to help write down the cost of that. The benefit from Metropolitan's standpoint is if more local water supplies can be developed, it puts less pressure on the imported water supply system and allows us to use more water and develop more water locally. So it's created a very nice partnership with us and allows some of these marginally more expensive projects to come online and be very cost competitive.
Well, you guys are certainly doing a lot that a lot of people didn't even know about, which is amazing. But if you take a look at the state from your perspective, what do you think, what are your thoughts on the current water infrastructure in California? What do we need to do? Like we had rain yesterday, a lot of it ran down the street and into nowhere. How do you see what the state really needs to do for the future?
Well, I think it's really a two-pronged approach. I think certainly agencies throughout the state, and I think you've seen a lot of this, and Southern California leads the way in this, need to invest in local resources, whether it's brackish desalination, whether it's water recycling, whether it's managing groundwater basins to capture stormwater flow, sink that water into the ground, and then have that for later use, or what they call conjunctive use, or even setting up groundwater basins such that when we do have very wet conditions throughout the state and there is an abundance of imported water, we can take that imported water, store it, and then extract that imported water later. And that can be done either in groundwater basins or surface water reservoirs. So local resource management and optimizing supplies in Southern California, I think, is really essential. As I mentioned earlier, Southern California really leads the way in this regard. If you look since 1991, I think the figure is about $12.1 billion has been invested by Southern California in surface water storage, things like Diamond Valley Lake, which is out here in our service area, which has really assisted Metropolitan and Southern California get through the drought. Desalination, brackish desalination, water recycling, and then water conservation and water use efficiency. We've made tremendous investments. If you look in our service area, for example, since the drought started, we've implemented rebate programs through Metropolitan that have put about 30,000 devices both on our commercial and industrial customers, and that's, as I said, nozzles and industrial devices to save water. And we've also implemented a lot of turf replacement. In our service area, since 2013, we've done about 2 million square feet of turf replacement through our coordination with Metropolitan Water District and converted that out to be more water use efficient landscapes. So I think it's first developing those local resources and being kind of all in on local resource development. But certainly Riverside County's case, in our service area, we will always need to have a reliable imported water source. And the Delta Fix, California Water Fix, which improves the conveyance system in the Delta, is absolutely essential for stability and security of our long-term water supplies and our imported water. I think that's an investment that must be made. The water community supports the Delta Fix, which is the construction of the tunnel system in the Delta, but the water community equally supports environmental restoration of the Delta. And we've talked about co-equal goals and realizing that as the water community, we not only need to support water supply, but environmental solutions to sustain those imported water supplies that we have. So we're very supportive of the Delta Fix. Right now, the Delta is very susceptible to earthquakes and other potential catastrophic events which could interrupt our supplies from the State Water Project. And so we think it's very important for the state of California, and certainly Governor Brown, the administration, has led this to continue with that investment in looking at the long-term goal of fixing the Delta, and that the water agencies need to support that. So again, I think it's looking at our statewide infrastructure and improving that, and improving storage ability statewide, as well as focusing on what we can do in our own backyard to optimizing our local supply opportunities.
It's really quite remarkable the number of avenues that are being pursued, coordinated, and made progress on. I mean, I pride myself in trying to stay current on many of the water issues, and I've learned several new things here just listening to your responses. So really appreciate that. Have you started to see some of the California water bond money becoming available for some of your infrastructure projects, for some of your local investments, or is that still a ways off?
No, and recently Prop 1 was passed, which provides grant funding. Those opportunities to seek those grant funding are just around the corner. But prior to that, we had Proposition 84, which also provided money for water and water-related infrastructure. They had money that was provided through the Integrated Regional Watershed Management Plan chapters of that bond. I will give you an example here in the Santa Ana River watershed. We have a project in which we've received bond funding for, which will construct facilities that will allow the capture of surplus imported supplies during wet conditions and being able to store that underground and extract those during times of drought. So we're seeing the availability of bond funding for doing some more of these advanced type water storage and water supply projects. There's also been money that's available for the desalters. We've received federal money to construct additional wells to expand our desalters, as well as state money available for that. And so, yes, that bond funding money is really helping. And those bonds, as they're passed, I think the communities and the public's always leery about bonds, but I will tell you in the water industry, those bonds go towards real projects that produce water and produce that water in an environmentally sensitive manner. And it's, as I mentioned earlier, really focuses on a lot of local resources, and whether that's desalting or whether it's stormwater capture or whether it's optimizing the groundwater basins. As a water community, we really put that money to work. And I think what we've seen in Southern California is the results from that because of our resilience in the drought.
Well, Mike and I really appreciate you taking the time to catch up with us and give us some insight to what Eastern Municipal Water District's doing. We sure, at least as Mike said, he learned a lot, I learned a lot. I know a lot more today than I did yesterday.
No, but I've got to ask you a quick question as we have to sign off here momentarily. But back in May, did you think that the state of California could have 3 consecutive months during the summer in which the residential communities throughout California reduced their water consumption by over 25%?
Yeah, I think we felt that was a very good aspirational goal, but I think the water community in general was concerned that we'd be able to reach that goal. I think it's been exceptional on a statewide basis that we've been able to do that. I think there's some areas, though, throughout the state and agencies such as Eastern that were early adopters of conservation. And they had put in, for example, we put in our rate structure, which caused a substantial reduction in our gallon per capita per day consumption of water prior to 2013. So I think all of us were a little bit concerned that maybe our demands had hardened up a little bit and we didn't have the resilience. And so I think you see different results throughout the state based on which agencies had done conservation before 2013, which was the baseline year, and which had done conservation after. But what it showed me was there are many agencies that had not invested a lot in conservation prior to 2013, and they were able to really achieve some exceptional results. You see agencies throughout the state who reduced their water use 30, 40, 50%. And so I think what was good about this was it really identified that the agencies throughout the state in many areas that have not invested a lot in conservation have a lot that they can do, and that was really shown in these exceptional numbers throughout the state.
Well, great. Again, on behalf of WaterZone, Mike and I, we really appreciate you taking the time to answer some questions and informing our listeners of what's happening. And anyway, we're going to go into a break, and again, thank you very much for joining us, Paul.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to get together. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
With Mike and Rob on the WaterZone in just a second.
Are you looking for the right place to purchase your landscaping items? Well, come see us at Hydroscape. Hydroscape offers a large selection of irrigation products including Irritrol and Toro, such as their efficient precision nozzles. For 40 years, Hydroscape has been family owned and operated, serving Southern California. With 17 locations, our knowledgeable and experienced staff is equipped to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydroscape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydroscape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog, or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
Were you involved in an auto accident? Do you know where to go for repairs? Are you tired of getting ripped off by high prices and inferior work? Then visit us at Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, located in Riverside at 6411 Industrial Avenue, Suite A. We have an award-winning team of specialists with more than 40 years of auto body work experience. We were also voted #1 in the Inland Empire by MyFox LA. We work with all major insurance companies and use state-of-the-art equipment to get your car back on the road. We work on all makes and models of cars, including RVs. Our auto paint specialist will make sure the job is done right. At Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint, your satisfaction isn't just a goal, it's what drives us. We focus on your needs. Call us for a free estimate at 951-637-1365. That's 951-637-1365. Inland Empire Auto Body and Paint.
The founder of a world-renowned symphony made up of children.
The Inland Empire's most heroic teacher.
The world-famous mixed martial arts hero, Baptiste Mansour.
The lady who's saving homeless kids in Redlands.
The Inland Empire has thousands of community, business, and kid heroes. Each week, we share their stories with you. Join us for My Awesome Empire and find out why the Inland Empire is so great.
Saturday afternoons at 5 p.m. on AM 1050 and KCAAradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, love, laugh, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Fay.
Every Thursday night at 7 on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050.
The other station claims to be local. Since when is Glendale local? KCAA News Talk 1050, your true local station.
you're back with the Water Zone with Mike and Rob, and Mike has a wonderful guest in the studio. Mike, I'll let you do the honors.
We have Pam Pavella from Western Municipal Water District. She's the water use efficiency specialist, but we know her for now several years, being very active, Pam is, in terms of outreach and regulations and just making sure that Western Municipal Water District is in touch with its customers regarding the importance of water conservation. I'm thinking, Pam, maybe just tell us real briefly the service area that Western Municipal Water District handles.
Sure. We are a wholesaler and a retailer. Our wholesale area covers 524 square miles from about Riverside, Jurupa, down to Temecula. And our retail area is about 24,000 connections, and that's in the southern part of the city of Riverside and some unincorporated county area down around Lake Matthews.
Great. And because Toro Irrigation is headquartered in Riverside, that's how we get a chance to interact with Pam on a number of occasions. Pam, on this show, we have heard the term budget-based tiered rates several times, but I don't think we've ever taken the time to really explain what that means to our listeners. So could you take a jab at that?
I sure will. Okay, let's pretend. Well, I know you live with your wife at home and probably no other people in your house.
That's true.
And I have my husband, 14 children, and 3 horses. So obviously I'm going to use a lot more water than you are. So we look at how many people are in each household. You're given a certain water budget per person per day. I believe it's 60 gallons per person per day. So you and your wife would get 120 gallons a day. I would get over 1,000.
Can I buy some of your extra water?
Sure. And that would be your Tier 1 budget. And that's a very fair way of allocating water, because obviously if you don't have that many people in your house, you're not going to be washing clothes as often, doing as many dishes, taking as many showers, etc., as I am with my kids and my horses.
That's true. I mean, so
you let me come over and take showers anymore.
But do you actually take into consideration horses?
Yes, we do. We give them 30 gallons per horse per day.
Oh.
And we base that off of research out of UC Davis, because horses, they're larger than humans, and they consume a lot of water to take care of them.
But they don't have any clothes to wash. Or maybe occasionally you got to
and no dishes. But they drink a lot.
They drink a lot.
And you have to be showered or washed off and
so that first tier, is that kind of at the lower price point?
Yes, that's at our lowest price point, just under $2.
Okay.
And if you think about that, that use stays the same pretty much all year. It's not going to vary depending upon the time of year. Now, the second tier we call our outdoor tier.
Okay.
And that is based on the square footage of your lot. And we got our information from public records, from county documents. And we told each customer, okay, we know that you have this much square footage. If you think it's different, please let us know and we'll make an adjustment, because we want to get the records accurate. So you and your wife probably live in maybe a housing tract with a 7,000 square foot lot. You might have 2,000 square feet of landscaping. So we will give you enough water per day, or a budget of water per day, to water that 2,000 square feet efficiently at what we call 80% of evapotranspiration. I know that's a very long word.
The ET word.
Yes, and all that means is how much water is evaporated from the surrounding area and plant tissue during a given time. And it's based on a crop of cool season turf grass. And there's weather stations around the state that measure that. And we have one at UCR. So Western has taken that data, as well as data from other weather stations, and we have, I think 473 what we call microzones throughout our retail area. So it's a very tiny, I think it's a square kilometer area where we have very detailed weather data in each area. So if it's a very hot day, you're going to get a larger Tier 2 budget so that you can water your area. Whereas I have my 2 acres with all my children and horses, I'm going to have a lot larger water budget in my Tier 2 budget because I have a lot more to water.
Yeah, but you're still going to be held to that 80% efficiency.
Correct.
Okay.
So, in other words, I know that I'll have a larger budget of water compared to you, but my budget is still not going to be some huge amount. I have to be efficient with that. And as long as I apply that water efficiently to my landscape, I'll stay within Tiers 1 and 2. And that's where we want our customers to be, in Tiers 1 and 2. Now, if they go over that, the portion that is over that use will be billed at higher tiers.
So that's kind of sending that that message that water is more valuable in the sense that you're starting to get into that area of maybe not using it as efficiently as you could.
Right. And it costs us more to get that water because we have to pay higher tiers as well to bring that water in or to obtain it other ways. Yes.
So, Pam, can you describe what Western Municipal Water defines the difference between efficiency and conservation?
Yes. When you're efficient, we hope that that's really a way of life always, not just in water use, but everyday living and efficient eating, efficient use of your car, efficient use of water. You want to use it intelligently and properly and not in a wasteful manner. Conservation, on the other hand, is like now. We're in this drought. The state has told us we have to cut back. So that's a conservation where you have to cut back or pull back more and conserve. It's hopefully not a long-term thing, but the efficiency, we hope, is a lifelong way of using your water.
Well, you brought up the this budget. So if I understand correctly, when it's cooler in the winter, I might get less water for my landscaping.
Correct.
In terms of an allocation or budget. But when it gets warmer in the summer, I should be getting
a much greater budget.
So so that budget could change month to month.
Oh, it changes day to day.
Wow.
Depending on the weather, because we have a download of weather data every day that goes to every one of those microzones. So it's a very customized water budget for each customer.
To me, it sounds like a fair way because
very
fair way because it's based on how many people live in your house and how big of a yard you have. So there's some.
Yes.
It seems to me.
And for instance, right now we're being told to cut back. The governor said 25%, and then the State Water Resources Control Board said they took the governor's order and used their different ways of calculating
the new math.
Yes, that we don't quite agree with.
Water math. That's what they did. Is they use water math.
And with the Western customer or Western Water District has to cut back 32%.
Wow.
And we think that's unfair because our customers have already saved 25% in the last 4 or 5 years through the water budget rates, as well as a lot of innovative programs that we have and outreach that we've done and regulation as well. So our customers have already cut back, and now we have to tell them to cut back again. That's not really fair. So
at least not 32%, and because that, gosh, on top of the 20, I mean you're getting to over 50%.
Right. And
so that's pretty.
No more pool parties or slip
right. So think about most water agencies don't have water budget rates yet because it's expensive to implement. So a lot of water agencies will say, okay, your first 10 units are at this cheap rate. The next 10 units are going to be at a higher rate. And then if you go to 30 units or more, we're really going to ding you hard. Well, in my situation with my 14 kids and 3 horses,
that's kind of unfair.
I'll never be below 30 units a month, but you would. So it's no pain for you.
I could actually waste a lot of water and still be in compliance.
Whereas with the water budget rates, since they're individualized, we want someone in my situation will have a much larger water budget and will have a fair allocation of water.
But you also have more chance to waste water because you're using more water. So it's not so it is kind of fair. You have to be as careful about being efficient as I would have to be. So that's good. Hey, that really puts that in perspective. But in talking about landscapes, there's really been a frenzy of and a lot of money thrown at this turf removal programs. And of course, there's places where turf doesn't make sense because it's in parkways, 3 feet wide or 4 feet wide. And, that certainly makes a lot of sense. And many cities are replacing their turf medians, with drought-tolerant landscaping. But kind of where do you come down on that perspective of turf removal?
Oh, I have my opinions.
Oh. I hope I didn't ask the wrong question.
How much time do we have?
The rest of it.
Western's also a big proponent, and actually they helped launch the free sprinkler nozzle program. So
yes,
how does that tie in with the turf removal?
Well, the program's closed now because it was funded through Metropolitan Water District, kind of the mother agency in Southern California.
The turf program.
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Well, they called it a turf removal program. We called ours a turf replacement program because we don't want people taking everything out and putting in gravel. You're creating this huge heat island effect.
Yep.
We want people to have plants. We want landscapes to look nice. And even with some of these turf removal projects,
I've got a couple
we need
pictures.
To give a little design. Well, we even had design assistants for a while, but we got so overwhelmed. There was no way the poor landscape architects couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And we also want people to know that, if you want some lawn, you can have some lawn. You just need to be efficient about how you irrigate it. It's not the lawn that wastes water. It's the people that irrigate it.
Well, it's maybe not knowing how to properly schedule, or maybe not paying attention to the deferred maintenance. Heads get crooked or heads sink, and all these contribute to inefficiencies. And from my own standpoint, 10 years ago when water was much, much less expensive, it's like,
who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
So I turn up the time on my irrigation timer.
Yeah, you see a brown spot, you just water it some more.
Yeah, so that 5% square area of my brown spot, I am overwatering the 95% of everything else that's green just to get at that brown spot instead of just figuring out, why do I have that brown spot?
And we're just going out with a little can and just watering that little brown spot.
Right.
I think more people today are getting educated in knowing what smart irrigation products are, which they didn't really know 5 to 10 years ago.
Just by repairing improperly working irrigation, like you said, crooked heads, broken pipe, nozzles that aren't matched correctly, and putting in high efficiency nozzles, smart controllers, etc., you can save 30 to 40%
of your
water. It's unbelievable what some people, they have no idea in what disrepair their irrigation system is in because it comes on at night and they don't bother to check it.
Exactly. And what would you say in the summer months, typically, of all the units of water that show up on my water bill in the Inland Empire, what percentage of those units go to irrigate outdoor landscapes here?
In our area, in our retail area, 65 to 70%.
Wow.
That's a lot.
So then you could save, if you did these repairs or if you upgraded to some of these new technologies, you're looking at 30 to 40% savings of that, 65 to 70%. So that's not insignificant. That's a way to actually contribute to California's need to reduce water consumption, but being able to keep your landscape and some of your turf, so you could get the best of both worlds if you want to.
Right. We don't advocate keeping turf where the only time you're walking on it is to mow it.
Yeah.
But if you want turf for children to play on, dogs to go on, you should be able to have that.
Yeah.
And
I just think sometimes that people don't realize, like you mentioned, the heat island effect, or impacting the permeability of the
ground,
soil of the ground. That we're going to see in the next 6 to 12 months some of the surprises maybe of some of these.
A lot more runoff than we want.
And so, well, listen, they're giving us the sign here. Pam, we've had some more topics we wanted to discuss, and we even talked about doing a special 1-hour session where you would share with us your landscape design recommendations for a drought-tolerant landscape. So we're going to want to bring you back for that and
I'd love to
continue the discussion. Thank you so much for joining Rob and myself here on the Water Zone. Rob, you take care out there in Dallas, okay?
I will do that. Thank you very much, Pam. We appreciate that.
You're welcome, Rob.
KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Call the dogs and put out the fire. This is Baxter Black on Monday, here to start the week with a little peek at Why the Horse. What holds the loaded 30,000-pound trailer to the heavy-duty truck? What holds the 38-foot RV trailer to the dually? What holds the 2-horse trailer